Learn programming skills welcomes you to another command prompt tutorials. In this video, we are going to identify some special characters that can equip us to combine different command lines together to execute an operation within the CMD window. So without any further ado, let's dive in and identify these special characters in this particular video. The first character is the single ampersand symbol or the and symbol. Now, this particular symbol allows you to combine different command lines together, and the essence or the description of this particular symbol or this special character is when you have different command lines executed, when the first command runs successfully or not successfully, it doesn't matter, but rather it pushes or jumps to the second command, and that is going to execute that particular command line. So when you have this execution in command prompt window, that is different kinds of command lines. If the first command line do not work, then that is going to move to the second command line so that is also going to operate. And if that do not also work, it moves to the third command. So let's dive into this CMD window and execute this particular operation. I am going to type 4 command lines and use this single ampersand symbol to separate them, and let's see how it works. Now, when you look at this particular command line, I have 4 command lines which has been integrated or combined together using this single ampersand symbol. So the first command says create 3 folders. That is, we are going to create 3 directories using these individual names. Now, after this operation, it should move to the second command line, which says we are going to create a text document that has the name Jude, and that is going to contain the information which is we are here. Now, after this second command, we have our third command line, which is we are going to move the created text document, that is the notepad document, which is Jude. Then that is going to move this text document into this first folder. Then after that, the last command, which is the fourth command, we are going to rename this particular folder into this particular name. So we have 4 command line integrated together using the single ampersand symbol. Now, before then, I'm going to make some correction here. We have this current directory, which is Boxman, and I want to switch to the desktop. Therefore, I'm going to use a simple trick, that is to use the keyboard shortcut to select these commands. So we hold down the shift key and the left arrow key, and I'm going to press the enter key on the keyboard. Now this copy this information into the clipboard, and I'm going to erase all these commands using the backspace on the keyboard. Now let's type the CD desktop, then hit the enter key. Now I'm going to hold Ctrl+V on the keyboard, and this is going to paste this command in this particular path. Now this is the command that we have, and I've explained it previously. So everything is well organized. There is no error in this particular command lines. So I'm going to press the enter key and see the output. Now, when you look on the desktop, we have these 3 folders. So let's have a bit illustration of these commands. In our first command line, we are to create 3 folders, and then we have these folders here. We have Jonas, John, but we have James not available here. Why? Because when you move to the 4th command line, we type this ren command, which is the rename command, that is to rename this James into Johnson. Therefore, that has also been executed in this particular command line. We also type this text document, which is Jude txt, which contains this information. And after that, we said we have to move this text document into this folder. So if I open this folder, I have this text document available. Therefore, when I double click on this, this is the information that we typed in the command prompt window. So our execution has been done successfully. But when we look at the description of this command, which is the single ampersand, we said when the first command line runs successfully or not, that is going to jump to the second command line or the second command. So I'm going to bring back this previous command that we typed, and we are going to make some adjustment to one of these commands, that is to make an error in these commands, and let's see how this is going to work. Therefore, I'm going to delete this output on the desktop. Now in this command prompt window, I'm going to press the up arrow key, and we have this previous command displayed here. I'm going to use my left arrow key, and I'm going to make this particular command, which is the MD. I'm going to erase this D and press the enter key. Now when you look on the desktop, we have only this output, which is the text document. In this command line, we are supposed to create 3 folders. Therefore, the command used to create the folder is in the error format, because this command, which is the M, is not used to create folders. So this particular first command is an error command. And when you move to the second command, we are supposed to create a text document, and that was successfully done. So this explains the command. When the first command did not work, it jumps to the second command. So now the second command is working perfectly, and that is what we have on the desktop. When we compare this to the previous command, all the commands were executed successfully. But in this case, because we had an error in one of the command line, that is the first command line, the first command is not working, but the second command is working perfectly. Now when we move to the third command, we are supposed to move this text document into this folder. And since this first command line didn't work, which was supposed to create these directories, this is also not going to work perfectly, as well as the last command, that is to rename this folder into another folder. And since this first command line didn't work, this last command is also not going to work. Therefore, these 4 command lines we have in this path, only one was successfully. That explains this particular command, which is the single ampersand symbol. Now we are moving to our next command, which is the double ampersand symbol. Now I'm going to delete this, and as usual, we are going to depend on the 4 commands that we are using just for illustration purpose, and you can base on this to type different commands in the command prompt window based on your preference. So I am going to use the up arrow key to bring this particular command. So this was the command that was working perfectly for all these commands that we have in this line of path. Now I'm going to change the single ampersand to double. So I'm going to use my left arrow key. Now I have gotten to the run command. I'm going to add another ampersand that is going to make it double. So let's use the left arrow key. Now we have this perfectly done. Let me explain this command. Now this special character, which is the double ampersand, if the first command do not work successfully, then the remaining commands are not going to work. That is the function of this particular command, and I have a video that provides you 10 useful commands you can explore within your command prompt window, and I illustrated this particular command, but there was a bit of mislead information. That is, in that particular video I explained that if the first command do not work, it jumps to the second command, which is not going to work perfectly. So I am going to well explain this in this particular video. So when you have the double ampersand in the command prompt window, if the first command do not execute successfully, then that is not going to move or jump to the second command, and that command is going to end. But if the first command works successfully, it moves to the second command. And when it gets to the second command and it's not working successfully, that is also going to pause at that particular line of path. So that is the function of this command. Now that we have this command here, I'm going to press the enter key on the keyboard. Now when we move to the desktop, we have the output as illustrated in the command prompt window. So we instructed the CMD window to create these 3 folders, and we have it on the desktop, and also create a text document, and also move the text document into this folder. And after that, we are going to rename this folder into Johnson, and that is the perfect output that we have here. Now for us to understand this particular command, we are going to change one of these command lines, that is to create an error in this command line, and let's see if we are going to have this perfect output. So I am going to delete all these items. So as usual, let's use the up arrow key to bring this command, and now I'm going to make an error in this particular first command line. So I'm going to move to this section, and I'm going to erase the D. And now this first command line is in an error format. Now let's press the enter key and see what is going to happen. Now when I press the enter key, it says M is not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program or batch file. So since this particular command or this first command comes with an error format, that is not going to proceed to the second command. Now let's also identify another option. I'm going to make a mistake in this second command. So let's bring out this command, and I'm going to use the left arrow key and get to this command line. I'm going to erase this extension. So this also comes with an error format. The first command has no error, but when we get to the second command, we have this error because we don't have TT as an extension for any file. But when we move to the third line, this is also not going to work perfectly because we don't have any text to be created. When we get to this line, this has the ren command, that is to change James to Johnson. So let's hit the enter key and see the output we are going to have. Now in this command line, we have Jonas, James and John, and these are the folders that are created. When we go to the second command, we are supposed to create this text document, and this was created successfully. Let's open it and see what is in this file. And as usual, this has opened within the Notepad application. Sometimes when you create a text document using the echo command, if you don't add the extension, this also continues to create that particular file, and that is an internal command or instruction that is being understood by the command prompt window. So sometimes you can decide not to add the extension, but this is going to create this particular text document on your computer system. So the first command was executed successfully, as well as the second command. Now when we get to the third command, we said we have to move this to this particular folder, and we have no text document with this particular command. Therefore this is not going to work perfectly. So if I open this folder, you can see that there's nothing in this folder. Now when we get the last command, which is rename James to Johnson, that is also not going to work perfectly. Why? Because the first command worked successfully. We also had the second command also working successfully. Because the third command didn't work perfectly, that is going to pause this execution. Therefore any continuous command line is not going to work perfectly. Why? Because that is the power of the double ampersand symbol. As I explained previously, these command lines work perfectly if the first command executes successfully, and that will push to the second command. And if the second command do not work, then that is going to pause at this particular section. So that is the power of this double ampersand symbol. So know when to use the single ampersand and also when to use the double ampersand. I am going to clear this system by using the CLS command. Now we are moving to our next command, which is the single pipe symbol. This command also works similar to the single ampersand symbol, but what this does is it redirects the output of the first command to the second command. So I'm going to use the up arrow key to bring these commands, and I'm going to change all the double ampersand to the single pipe symbol. So let's use our left arrow key. So in this case, we have replaced the double ampersand with the single pipe symbol. Now let's press the enter key and see what is going to happen. Before then, let's delete this output on the desktop. Now I'm back to the CMD window. I'm going to press the enter key. Now this also gives us a prompt that the first command is not going to work perfectly, therefore this is not going to jump to the second command. Now I'm going to bring the previous command and see what is going to happen. So the up arrow key, therefore I'm going to use this particular command. So I'm going to use my left arrow key and change the double ampersand to the pipe symbol. Now in this command line, I've replaced the double ampersand to the single pipe symbol. I'm going to press the enter key. Now we have this output that says the process cannot access the file because it is being used by another process. The system cannot find the file specified. Now when you look at this command line, we have to create 3 folders, and that is what we have here. And we have to create this particular text document, and that is what we have on the desktop. And when we move to the third line, it said we have to move this text document into this folder, and that did not work perfectly. If I open this folder, we were supposed to see this document in this folder, but that did not work in this particular command line. So this pipe symbol, as I said, it redirects the output of the first command to the second command. So in this particular line of path, the first 2 commands work perfectly, but we couldn't have the third and also the fourth command working perfectly in this particular command line. Now I'm going to delete the output on the desktop and also bring out these commands and replace the single pipe symbol with the double pipe symbol and see how that particular special character is also going to work. So in this command line, I'm going to press the up arrow key. Now let's move to this and add the next pipe symbol so that we can have the double pipe symbol. Now that this is done, I'm going to press the enter key. Now in this particular command line, when the first command fails to execute, that is going to move to the second command. And as usual, if the first command is able to work perfectly, then that is going to pause at that particular section. You will not have a jump or a proceeding to the second command. So in this command line, we have to create these 3 folders, and when we move to the desktop, we have all these 3 folders available. This second, the third, and also the fourth command did not work. Based on this illustration, the double pipe symbol, whenever you have this, if the first command worked perfectly, the second command and any other continuous command is not going to execute. That is the function. This also works similar to the double ampersand symbol. So these are the 4 commands I want to share with you that can help you to combine or integrate 2 or more command lines together, and playing along with these commands or these special characters can help you to understand when and where to use them. And I hope this video was helpful. Please give it a like, share, and I want to have your comments in the comment section, and let's have a collaboration. Thank you for watching this video, and we shall meet in our next tutorials.